This is Vince Russo's The Brand.
All right, I finally got my shit together. Sorta. Yeah. Okay, now it's showtime.
In it. One. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another joint edition of AlternaTV Broken Stinger, where we will be doing a Monday Night Nitro review. This week it will be the April 24th, 2000 edition of Monday Nitro. I am Brandon Stransky, and here is my co-host. Go ahead and introduce yourself, Stinger.
Woo! On the move today.
How you doing, man?
Oh, just dandy, just dandy. Brandon, I have a question for you.
What's up?
You ever had a girlfriend?
I had one girlfriend and that's why I did not have another girlfriend.
Oh, okay. We can always go get advice from Lazy, Lover, Lumpy, Looney Lane, if worse comes to worse. But yeah, got a new girlfriend, if you've been following along, and sick of it. Just sick. She, nice girl, I'm sorry, but too clingy.
Now, I will say this, though. This is just my opinion. Don't let that go. Someone who cares, like, do not let that go.
Well, Brandon, I get that, but, well, first and foremost, I forgot to mention, happy holidays, everybody. You notice my lovely hat. We don't have to always start the show on a bad note, so happy holidays. Vinny Roo, if you're listening, very nice. And yes, I understand that clingy comes with loyalty, but kind of in a unstable situation in my life, I need to go see a doctor. I don't have insurance, need a job. Apparently, I'm 150 pounds or less.
That's actually that's when you need somebody like that to be your rock, to be your support.
Well, yes, but not when the person is staring at you like this constantly. Or Brandon, she texts me and not texts me. When I first met her, I didn't know. I met her, long story short, she has this habit. She can't hold down a job like me, but she constantly, at the beginning, I picked up this pattern. She would tell me, I have an interview, and I got sick of hearing it. Then she would tell my mother about it, and my mother would come to me, why is she telling me about all these interviews? I don't care. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. Well, I care, but yeah, just messy with that.
Oh, then, and this is my opinion, but I will say this. So again, I'm not speaking from experience. I'm just speaking from being just straight up and being a person, and just with other relationships, stuff like that. You got to be honest about it. You can't, because the more you hold it in, it's going to explode, and it's not going to be pretty. You got to be honest about that kind of stuff.
Explode. Okay. Actually, no, I sat her down about 3 times and had a nice chat with her. So we'll see where that goes. But enough about me. What have you been up to, Mr. Stransky?
Not a whole lot, man. Just been kind of working, been kind of fighting my own battles, but with Lord on my side, I can make it through anything, man.
See, that's the other thing with her. She's very religious, and I noticed when she met me, she had 3 jobs, and she was very much into God. And the more she got to know me, I don't know, like, she insists that it happens. She got less religious, and she's not working now. And I'm kind of using that as ammo. Like, maybe it's better we both get our crap together as opposed to having 2 unstable people. I don't know. I'm not a love guru. Maybe we'll give Lazy Lover Lane a call. Or Mr. Bolin, by the way. There's not the only BS on this team. How about that? So let's just get into this Nitro review. Well, enough about me and my girl situation. What did you think about this episode, Brandon?
I thought it was a pretty good episode. There were a few things that I definitely had some questions about, but it was it's some stuff we'll get to it when we get to it. I'll give my thoughts there.
My opinion, I didn't think we could top last week's Nitro, and we opened the show with a Sting brawl, so I'm marking out, and just not even just that, more to it, and it just keeps on going. Just the crap today just can't compete. I'm sorry. Maybe if Team Mom wasn't on, I don't know.
All right, so we opened the show with a recap of everything that went down last week, including the ending where it was ambiguous as to who Bret Hart hit with the chair. Did he hit Bischoff? Did he hit Hogan? We'll find out tonight. We opened the show with Sting and Vampiro fighting backstage. Vampiro gets the better of that, leaving Sting laying and then heading off. What do you think of this little opener?
Well, I remember watching it live. This room, I was over yonder with my little, I don't know what type of TV you call it. It was a really old TV, not like the flat screen I have now. It was a nice, spring day. I remember the sun was still up. Remember watching it live, remember going nuts, and kind of a pretty good intense brawl in the back. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to complain. Sting's favorite outfit for me. And Vampiro takes kind of a beating. Turns his back and gets a pipe to the back, though. And then we see Bam Bam Bigelow walking through. Just nothing to see here. Just the casual brothers in paint trying to kill each other.
Yep.
And
Then we go to Tony Schiavone. Says we're going to see the footage of what happened with Bret Hart. And then we have Funk versus Terry Funk defending the hardcore title against Bam Bam Bigelow. We have Bam Bam jump-starting Funk to start the match. We have Cat run out, gets cut off by Bam Bam Bigelow. And then he botches the interference and costs Bam Bam Bigelow the match. And then afterwards, he dances in the ring.
Well, what can you say? First of all, I think this is kind of what you call a cluster. You know what? But it's a good cluster, you know what, because it's not your typical one-on-one predictable match. And towards the end of the match, holy crap, with the shoes, he nails that spinning heel kick that catches Funk in the face, or excuse me, Bam Bam in the face, I believe. Did you catch that?
Yeah, that was a nice kick. Then again, he was a legit karate master, so what do you expect?
Where are my notes? Yes, he was. Actually took notes this week. Let's see, Mean Gene. Yep, these are the right ones. Let's see what I got on that. Did you also notice, did Terry take any crazy bumps this week that you noticed, or I didn't catch that?
I didn't catch that this week. I don't think he did anything too insane. I think he may have, after looking back on that one spot where Wall didn't catch him, because now going back to it, I now, remember it's actually, if the guy undershoots it, it's actually the guy on the outside's job to run and try to catch him. He failed to do that.
Well, he'll get a demerit and no gold star for next week, Mr. Brandon Stransky. But I have written down here, Bam Bam gets hit from behind with a garbage can lid. I don't know. Garbage can lid, I always kind of laughed at that kind of weapon. I don't think it would stun you for too long, but then again, I've never taken one to the head.
That's true, yeah. I've never taken one of those either, but I can, I've taken a kendo stick to the head, and, that knocked me loopy for a few seconds.
Oh, did you really?
Yep.
Never taken one to the head. I'm telling you, I'm convinced that I might have been dropped once or twice when I was a baby, but nobody's perfect. Nothing in adulthood. Except maybe a few times at hockey, but I was wearing a helmet. I have written down, Mark Madden's pretty funny with his comment. We have a 90-something-year-old man who just retained his title. We have somebody dancing in the middle of the ring who wasn't even in the match. What's going to happen next? Sting coming down from the rafters? Asking for too much? I don't know. Okay, what's next?
Next, we have footage from the ending of last week's Nitro, and we see that Brett did indeed hit Hogan with the chair, signifying that he is at least not on the side of the Millionaires Club, but we don't know if he's aligned with the New Blood. That's still a little. That was kind of still a little left ambiguous. Then we have Kidman and Tori out for a promo where Kidman challenges Hogan to a fight tonight and again at Slamboree. And as the promo is going on, we get a quick shot of Bischoff, Jeff Jarrett, and Kimberly backstage, and they see the promo. They're a little like, what's, you notice that Bischoff's kind of like, hey, what's he doing out there? What's this going on? What's this about? So you can tell that he's not, he didn't clear this. Kidman's, doing this on his own.
Mm-hmm.
Talking the promo in this segment.
Well, Kidman is heavily bandaged from the previous attack last week, or Hogan almost killed him in that dumpster. He's bandaged up. Mark Madden, once again, I gotta say, I think Madden's pretty funny.
Here's another comparison from this time period to today. Kidman would have been, if this were today, they would have been like, what dumpster thing? That never happened. What's his thing? What you want to sell his ribs? Why? Nothing happened.
Good point. Kidman's line, Terry, you bring the yellow, I'll supply the red, your blood. Challenging Hogan. Very nice. And I don't know, I'm leaning towards Vince might have wrote that, but who knows. And Mark Madden, again, say your prayers, take your vitamins, mocking Billy Kidman. I don't watch enough Raw these days, so I can't make too much of a comparison to the announcing, but I'm willing to bet it's miles better.
Oh, it was, yeah. You say you never watched the old Attitude Eras, or like with JR and the King. They were fantastic. They were, man.
And it was just two guys, and you would say, a three-man announce team can't work, but I disagree. In this circumstance, I think it does work, and I think all three announcers, they're engaged, they're selling it, they're making it believe, like it's real to them, so it's going to be real to you. I'm seeing some emotion. And badass Mark Madden is just funny as hell.
Although there was something about this segment and what it set up that I do have a question about.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're setting up for Hogan and Kidman at the pay-per-view. But I don't understand. This is, I'm not criticizing, I'm not judging, I'm just saying I do not understand the thought process in doing this for having them go at it like it's on free TV. Now I understand what happens and how it ends up going down, but I still kind of, it is enough to make it different from when it goes down to the pay-per-view, but again, it still seems kind of like you're giving that what you're advertising as to pay too much for free. Does that make sense?
In what way? What are we talking about here? I'm sorry, bro.
The thing with Kidman fighting Hogan at the pay-per-view as well as on the show tonight.
You're thinking the advertising is too.
What I'm thinking is, it seems like, you're promoting a show for a pay-per-view, which people put money down to, paying money to see.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, you're kind of giving away one of the marquee matches of that, or at least enough of it on the show to that, to me, it kind of feels like you're kind of, angering those people that were going to.
Okay.
You kind of get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, they're almost having the pay-per-view match before the pay-per-view.
Right. And and to me, it seems kind of takes a little bit to me, and this is just my opinion, it kind of takes some of the luster off that.
Perhaps, but Mike Awesome does get involved. I think Vince said back in that day, his focus wasn't too much on the pay-per-views, it was the television show. So,
and I'm sure that, if I were to ask him, that would probably be his answer, and I would totally understand that. I get that. It's just me personally, I don't think it's a decision I can make.
Well, Mr. Russo gets a demerit then. I don't, I guess you have a point. But I would have to see what the numbers did for that upcoming pay-per-view, but I
mean, opinions don't matter. It's what the numbers show. Exactly. It doesn't matter who believes what,
the problem
numbers, what matters is what the numbers tell you.
Maybe I think the problem was WCW, the viewership was so low at the time period that you have to have a strong television show or you can forget your pay-per-views anyway. So you have to focus on.
And I'm 100% willing to bet that was probably his logic going into that.
Only one way to find out, bro. Okay, so we go to the back. Jarrett, Bischoff, and Kimberly are arriving.
Yeah, Eric. Yep. You see the promo we got when we come back from commercial. We are in the back with Russo and Norman Smiley. Norman is begging for the opportunity to get a shot at Terry Funk at Slamboree for the hardcore title. Russo says, "You got it. You got to find yourself a partner." Norman says he knows the perfect person. He already has him picked out. And then we have Jared out with Kim and Eric. Kim with the divorce papers, and then it points out Arquette at ringside, which brings out we have the promo where Kimberly wants the divorce. Here comes DDP. We have Paige and Kim, and then Kim and Eric want Paige to sign the divorce papers. DDP for Eric. Jared hits the guitar, and then Arquette runs in, attacks Eric, Canyon out for the save. Babyfaces stand tall. Oh wait, no, it's not done yet. I'm sorry. Then we have then Eric and then Bischoff challenges Arquette to a match, and then with the conditions being that if Arquette defeats Bischoff, then Paige will get a title shot later tonight inside a cage.
Well, a lot in this segment. I thought it was funny. First of all, of course, Kimberly looks really good.
She never doesn't look good, or she never. What am I trying to say? I said that wrong. She never not looks good. Is that what I'm trying to say?
I don't know. You're saying it. We'll go with it. It's good. Very nice. Very nice. Anyway, a lot with this segment. I took my jacket off. I feel like my paint's going to melt. It's so hot under there. Anyway, a lot with this segment. I thought it was friggin' funny. If you notice, Bischoff was wearing a wire. I noticed that today when I was rewatching it back. I don't know why. So he didn't need to speak with a microphone. He was wearing a wire.
That was I did not notice that. I have to go back and see that.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's because he wanted more hand gesture motion to really sell the segment, because I thought he was pretty good in this segment with that, jackass kind of smile. And Kimberly, I don't know who said the line, "I'm going to beat your ass and neglect it." Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett's line, "I'm going to beat your ass and neglect it like you did Kimberly."
Man. I've been watching the old, also watched the old Asylum TNAs, and night and day difference with Jarrett from face to heel. I mean, he seems so me personally, I thought he was kind of bland as a baby face, but he is he was much wittier as a heel, so much wittier as a heel.
I agree. I don't think you have a lot more creative freedom as a heel, unless you're Austin, but he was more of a tweener, So, again, with this segment, I thought that was pretty good. Paige comes out, and this has to be pure acting here. You imagine, earlier in the day, husband and wife, they're not really divorced. Going over selling this segment, and I'm a believer. They're not actors, but they're doing a kind of a good job of selling it. Like, I want a divorce. I want out of this marriage.
I believed it.
This out.
I mean, granted, I didn't think, Kimberly's performance was as strong as, Paige's, but,
You didn't think so?
I thought Paige was more believable.
I liked her delivery.
I'm not saying she did a bad job. I'm saying Paige did a better one.
Okay, fair enough. Well, Paige, he would have to cut more promos being the wrestler, but I agree with that, I guess. And I'm trying to think what else he said. What are you, out of your friggin' mind? I cringed a little. Have you turned into a psycho or a super bitch? That was kind of that was kind of like something else Stink said too later in the show, where I was kind of like not really attitude era like, but I could dig it. I could dig it. And then, of course, I remember this segment coming up actually when I was a kid. This whole segment. So he says, DDP says, "You want me to sign the papers? I'll sign it right after I shove it down his throat." Goes after Bischoff. Takes a lovely guitar shot to the back from Jarrett. And then, I'll tell you what, I've never seen anybody get in the ring quicker than David Arquette. Was it me, or he was in there like that?
He was on Bischoff pretty quick.
That was funny as hell. Even if I knew it was fake, like he was hitting Bischoff pretty weak, but he got in there pretty quickly for a non-wrestler. And then Canyon comes out, like you said, beats up Jarrett, and then the good guys are prevailing. Bischoff's going towards the ramp. Who hit me? Who hit me? David Arquette? You come
Losing you again.
Piece of me, going black, because that's my gimmick. How's the hat? Can you hear me?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So, yeah, a lot to say about this segment. I thought the acting was pretty good. I thought, like I said, maybe we could ask Vince if he would know why Bischoff was wearing a wire in this segment. Not that it matters that much, but I thought it was very well executed. Oh, one last thing before we go on. I'm going to 1-800 kick your butt.
Oh, that was like to me, that was like the one cringeworthy thing, but the crowd freaking popped for it, so there you go.
I get it, though. I don't know. Maybe that was just me. And that sounds like it would so come from Arquette.
Yeah, it did sound like something the dude would say, yes.
Of course, they'd blame Russo for that. I don't think Vince wrote that.
No, I don't think he wrote that at all. I think that was to me, that felt like a total, this, again, my opinion, to me, it felt like a total off-the-cuff, just,
And one last good thing said in this segment that didn't make me cringe. All of these stupid wrestling marks. If only she could deliver that speech here and there in a few arenas today. But what are you going to do?
Then after that, we got Chronic cornering Russo in the back about the title shot, and then he basically tells him he's going to get it taken care of for him. We go to commercial, come back. We have a recap of the last segment. Let's see, we got Jarrett and Bischoff backstage, and Eric calls for Kidman. Sting is now back up looking for Vampiro. We have a match of Candido and Sonny versus the Artist and Paisley. Candido and Sonny over after Candido accidentally hits Paisley. And thoughts on everything that we just went over on this, at least these little tidbits.
Well, I got to say, I'm a sucker for Tammy, technically. Sonny's outfit. And I feel guilty. I will admit I did get a shot of her butt, or an image of her butt, at one point in the match when the cameraman was peering underneath the ring. Or kind of. And, well, how about that pin? Woo! I dig it. Ooh, no. Woo! Got my woo back. How about that? Thank you, Miss Sonny.
You know what? Everybody, I always hear people dogging the Artist gimmick. You know what? I think that actually, I noticed a big change in him. He had like when he started doing that gimmick, he had like a swagger to him that he didn't have before. I noticed that right away.
The Artist. Well, what gimmick was he previously? Who was he?
I think they're doing like some sort of like kind of almost tribal gimmick where he was, he wore like I think it was like a not tribal, but it was like you could it was definitely like like it showed it basically gimmick based on his island heritage.
Well, I don't know. The entrance musics in WCW were kind of weird. I guess his entrance kind of helped them. The match itself, I'm not going to judge the match. Again, I thought the pin was fun. And unfortunately, he didn't get pinned by Tammy. He almost got pinned by Tammy. But I don't have a problem with this. Of course, what happens next?
And then we have Sting coming out, laying out Candido, challenges Vampiro to a first blood match later. And then backstage, we are with DDP and Canyon as they hype up Arquette for his match later on with Eric Bischoff.
Well, first off, Tammy selling Sting coming out was pretty cool. And I'm pissed off with the network editing over his Seek and Destroy music. I really try to listen over. Not that I have a problem with the music they put over it, but I just, I like to hear it when I was hearing it live as a kid.
Yeah, it's part of the WCW experience. So they kind of took that away.
Well, I thought his promo was pretty good. Vampiro, you little punk, you little wimp. I forget what else he says, except he says towards the end, since you're a vampire, let's make this a first blood match. He does the thing with his eyes. Take you down. He said something kind of...
I've never seen Sting cut a bad promo. I've never.
Good delivery. Of course, our face paint, is on point. Takes out Chris Candido for the perfect death drop. And we go to the back, you said, and now DDP is getting David Arquette hyped up.
Yep. And then we're back from commercial. We have Team Package out against Chronic. We're continuing the story of Miss Hancock just coming out during matches and taking notes. This was a scene. The finish of this was pretty wonky because I don't know what happened because Bagwell came out and the ref rang the bell for like a DQ, but then Douglas he's distracting the ref. Douglas comes out from behind and for a distraction, which allows Chronic to hit the high times. And then after the match, we got the beat down on Team Package before Chronic lays out Bagwell and Douglas.
Well, first of all, isn't it cool that Flair comes out in his street clothes?
That dude will wrestle in anything.
From experience, how does it affect performing in the ring? Or you never wrestled in street clothes?
My first gimmick, part of the gimmick was I had to wear khakis. It did restrict some of the movement, but
oh my God, what?
It didn't. Some of the movement was
what kind of
monster else to be able to pull it off. What's that?
I'm sorry?
Oh, were you asking? I'm sorry.
No. We were just going over. Flair had was wearing his street clothes during the match. Well, I said, what kind of monster are you wearing khakis in the ring? I don't like wearing khakis, period. They crawl up my leg. That's another story for another day. Anyway, let's see. Okay, I have my notes here. I think Miss Hancock might have taken better notes than me. No, I take decent notes. Yeah, so they come out, and what an image that was. Miss Elizabeth looks beautiful. God rest her soul. Luger's not wearing street clothes. He's in his typical wrestling gear, all jacked up. And I don't know, I thought it was pretty funny seeing Flair get tossed in the corner by Brian Adams or Brian Clark in his street clothes. And I don't know, it's kind of believable to me seeing him fight that guy, but not really. And of course, we get some beatings with a baseball bat, and Vince mentioned on his other show, it's not a real bat, it's like hard rubber. So it really hurts, but it doesn't injure.
Yep.
And smoochy boochy.
It's like how it seemed weird how the ref rang the bell when Bagwell ran in, and then the match kept going.
Yes, and you notice Tony Schiavone, before Flair gets the high tag, he got hit in the back, and Schiavone says he just took a bat across the back, keep in mind. So again, announcers helping out with the storytelling. I don't think Michael Cole would do that these days, but I don't watch enough Raw to keep that in mind.
I don't even really watch that anymore either. It's more like this background noise.
Huh?
I don't even watch that anymore. It's more or less just background noise.
Bad surround sound. And of course, Bagwell starts doing his little dance and Chronic turns on the new blood. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, it's also continuing the story of they want the tag belts. Bagwell and Douglas are the tag champs. So let's see here. Next segment, we have a Vampiro and Gene segment. We have Bischoff dressing down Kidman for challenging Hogan and told him to let R&B let Russo and Bischoff get him to where he needs to be, and we go to commercial.
One real quick before the last segment, kind of out of order, but just remember Bagwell, and when they came out Bagwell, I noticed because he's always doing his crazy entrance, but he was all pissed off because he's forced into this match and he just comes out and the pyro goes off.
We're still not there yet.
Oh, no. I'm talking about... Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm jumping ahead. See, I think all this paint's making my brain kind of loopy. My bad.
Jabron. Vince, let's go.
Jeff, here's why this show sucks off the bat. I didn't even care. Vince McMahon sucks, bro. Do you understand? You shoot an angle, that's the shit. They're pussies, bro.
Bust somebody's ass. You just took all this guy's flavor away. He really does suck as a heel. I can't stand this guy.
Oh, yeah, bro, you're bitter. Get your shit together. So freaking illogical. Are you freaking kidding me, bro? And I'll be honest with you. Ham sandwich, no good ham bone. All right, what's next?
I'm not putting it on as much anymore because kind of a pain in the ass cleanup, and I don't know what it does to my body. But alcohol also burns my skin a little, but I'm used to it. Okay, so Chronic turns on the new blood, and where are we now?
We are at the Vampiro Gene promo. Bischoff dressing down Kidman for challenging Hogan and told him that him and Russo are going to take care of it and basically get him where he needs to be, and then we go to commercial.
And again, another segment I remember as a kid, Vampiro, I remember this vividly. I'm going to make you scream like a pig. He doesn't say that. He says something like, I'm going to make you squeal like a pig in a different way. Something similar, but again, stuffed pig. I remember this as a kid, and I think the setting is pretty cool. It's not your typical wrestling promo, and you got Mean Gene in there with it, which makes it kind of more funny to me. And Bischoff yelling at Kidman.
You could. I don't think you could do this segment like this as well with an interviewer, like without having Gene interviewing it. He's the one. He makes these segments most of the time.
I think so too. I think he gives you a platform and he says, "Away, let's see what you got to say." And Bischoff yells at Kidman. I think Bischoff does a good job of selling this. And then we go to the promo after that.
Come back from commercial. We have Gene following up with Bischoff. Notices that Awesome is there. Says that Awesome is going to be Kidman's heavy for tonight. And then when he takes on Hogan, and then Bischoff himself makes himself the ref of the Hogan-Kidman match at Slamboree. And then we have Kidman and Awesome versus Hogan. Awesome putting Hogan through the table. Nash walks in, sees it on the monitor, runs out for the. He sees it on the monitor. And then Kidman over with the leg drop finish. I thought this was. We'll get opinions later. Awesome hits. Then Nash runs out, hits Nash. Yeah, Nash runs out. Awesome takes him out. Furthers the injury to the ankle, hitting it with the chair in the post. And then we have Bischoff, Jarrett, and Kim backstage hyping up Arquette and Bischoff.
Well,
our thoughts on what we just saw.
Well, first off, let's see. Getting back to the the Bischoff promo, he reiterates the fact that Hogan is a nut after what he did last week. Hogan is crazy. I agree. Those Hogan segments in the back, I just loved every minute of it. You don't see anything like that today. Nothing close. Hogan versus Kidman and Awesome, if you notice on his way out, his shirt says FUNB, and he talks to the camera. He says, NB stands for New Blood. You find out, or you figure out what the FU stands for. And he's fully into it. He's not saying it like, he's putting some passion into that. Oh, and
this Hogan seems, very invigorated. Like, he's like got a fire under his ass. Yeah, he beating up Awesome. He holds Awesome up to Mark Madden, and Mark Madden's like, okay, I get it. Get shipped for some gas. I can't read my notes, but yeah, he got Madden freaking out. He's holding up Awesome to Madden. Hogan gets hit in the chair once again and starts bleeding. Man, him and Flair they did not have a problem bleeding. I will say I love the finish of having it be where Kidman hits the leg drop and pins him. Oh, yeah. I mean, can you imagine, Terry agreeing to all this? Yeah, I was shocked that he agreed to that. I was very shocked hearing this, haven't heard the stories. He gets put through a table twice. And then Tori gives him a kiss. Huh? And then they also continue the thing with Awesome and Nash with him taking out his leg at the chair in the ring post. Yeah, Nash does a good job of selling this. From Tori gives him a low blow first, and then it's all downhill from there for him. And yeah, he just sells it. Hogan can barely get up. And it's a victory for the New Blood. And then we're back from commercial, and it's Bischoff versus Arquette, with Arquette going over after ducking a guitar shot. My speech is off tonight. And then Canyon runs in to cut off Jarrett. Lights out. Sting is in the rafters. Go to commercial. Thoughts on that? Well, first off, just to finish off the last segment, I thought, again, Mark Madden did a good job. Yeah! After Hogan gets beat. And going into this segment, Bischoff, Arquette. I thought Arquette takes a little bit of a beating in the ropes. It looks kind of bad, Bischoff kicking him, but neither are trained wrestlers, so yeah, you weren't getting a 5-star match. One maybe if he was in the you kidding me? Magoo would give this to be off the charts on Magoo in the wrong direction. Well, I take it back. It may have been 1 star if it took place in the Tokyo Dome. What do you think Mr. Keller would have said? He probably would have given it 2 because of the Tokyo Dome. Eric Bischoff is not a trained wrestler. David Arquette does not belong in a ring. I cringe when entertainment and wrestling is brought in the same sentence. I'm a 40-something-year-old. Shut up. We're just so sick of listening to you. Just shut the hell up. Just going back and hearing that one clip of him with the talking to wrestlers wise, man, that's just so low and sleazy, man. Yeah, what can you say? He's an idiot. I know Vince has a bigger problem with Magoo, but Vince, if you're listening, please burn Wade Keller more often. Okay, so getting back. This is Nitro review. Well, it is a Nitro review, but it's our show. If we want to go off track a little, we can do what we want. I got my bat, so. Anyway, I'm sorry. Okay, the match. Yeah. So anyway, this thing means with the victory of Arquette, that means we're going to be having Paige and Jarrett in the cage for the title. Well, however, this brings up the same question that I had with Hogan Kidman of one of the matches that you're selling the pay-per-view with is the title cage match of Paige and Jarrett. It kind of feels to me like they're kind of losing a bit of luster but also though I do know, but then again we know what happens later. Mm-hmm. How the match gets changed, but again, still, it's I would still bring that concern up if I was in the meeting and this was pitched to me.
Well, again, I think the mentality behind that was the ratings desperately need to be boosted, so we'll keep doing pay-per-views, but we need to focus on the TV right now. Again, getting back to that, but you bring up a good point. Maybe you could ask Vince on Twitter later. I want to know the answer to that too. But
yeah. So anyway, we are now backstage with Arquette and Canyon.
One second. Hold on there, Tiger. I have a few more notes written down for this segment. Did you notice Arquette doing the worm?
I did not catch that. No.
He does the worm on Bischoff, and then when Jarrett comes in the ring, he has an opportunity to hit him. Like he's, sleazy heel, bad guy Jarrett. He's going to prey on this non-wrestler. He's going to chew him up and spit him out like mashed potatoes, if that makes sense. That's a bad analogy. But anyway, he has the opportunity to hit Arquette, and he doesn't hit him. He waits for Bischoff to get up, gives him a low blow. Bischoff gives Arquette a low blow. Holds him for Jarrett to, hit him with the guitar. And Arquette, I think, is slightly lower than Bischoff, so it looks kind of goofy. You see where they're going with that a mile away. Bischoff takes a thunderous hit to the head with the guitar, and Canyon comes and attacks Jarrett, and Arquette pins him for the win. But I just notice little things like that. It's funny. Like, he's coming in the ring, and he has the opportunity to hit him. And it kind of reminds me of the previous week's episode where Sting comes down from the rafters, and Vampiro is looking.
He just gets like, oh, yeah, I got to pretend I didn't see him.
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's where I'm going at with this. But I thought it was a pretty entertaining segment. Wade Keller would be devastated, but who really cares what he thinks?
Exactly. Yeah, this is the dude who thinks that John Cena is trying to earn Wade Keller's respect. Give me a freaking break.
John Cena. Okay.
All right, so we're backstage with Arquette and Canyon. Then we go to Jarrett and Bischoff, and then we have Steiner out for a promo. I freaking popped huge because this was a word that you would think Steiner would screw up, and he nailed it perfectly. Go back and listen to it. He correctly pronounces the name Caligula.
Caligula, really? I thought for a second there he was going to pronounce the name dessert wrong, or the word dessert wrong.
Nope. I think if I can recall correctly, Caligula. I want to say he was a Roman emperor. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, Steiner nailed that name perfectly. I'm just like, what? Then he calls out Booker for what happened last week. Booker out, says Steiner was just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. What happened was just business to try to, keep the new blood, harmonized. And then Booker gets in the ring, and they start fighting after one of Steiner's freaks gets physical with Booker. I believe he pie faces her, and that's what leads to the fight.
Yes, after Booker says, "Sir, careful, baby. Once you go black, you don't go back." She smacks him, and that helped. A couple more things I noticed Steiner saying. First of all, does his promo wisely, arms on the rope. Bro, do you see the size of those arms? And then, I swear, 2 garden hose veins. Oh, my God.
Dude was freaking brilliant at that.
Like, Lex Luger had maybe you could argue, a better overall body, but in my opinion, or I don't think it's an opinion, I never saw anybody in wrestling with bigger arms than Scott Steiner.
Steiner scares me before Luger any day of the week.
Well, as far as arms, like whole body, Luger maybe could match up. I'm just saying arms, like 2 garden hoses, friggin' peaks, like, and he's got him on the ropes. And a few more funny things he says. He says he's rhyming a lot. Switches on bitches, big booty daddy, a lot of rhyming. I'm just a big fan of these promos. He did a promo once just like this where he said, WCW sucks, and he got suspended.
Man, that was... people I know hated his promos, man, but I thought they were so friggin' entertaining. It's like, yeah, that's like his promos. Like everybody's like, the promos are terrible. That's what makes them great.
Exactly. Great. What's next?
See, then we go to commercial. We recap the last segments. Booker and Steiner are getting separated. Then we're in the back with Paige, Arquette, and Canyon. Douglas and Bagwell are leaving. Then Russo says, "You guys got to, defend your belts against Chronic." They're pissed off. Russo comes out with Douglas, joins the stands by the announce team. Chronic hits the match is over with after Chronic hits high times. Russo breaks it up with the bat. Match is a non-finish, and then we see Tank walking backstage before we go to commercial.
Well, a couple things here. First of all, one of the lines here, Vince says, "What do these guys eat for breakfast?" And then I believe it was Madden, or no, Hudson replied, "New Blood members," referring to Chronic. Russo's bat shot. He takes a shot at Bryan Adams, and then he's like, with his Knicks jersey on, and it doesn't work. And then he grabs Russo. He's about to nail him with the high time, and then Douglas gives him a devastating bat shot to the back, the way it should be delivered. And then Vince is being all cocky, celebrating over him. And I thought anytime Vince was on commentary, he was mostly in the back during this episode, but you could tell, he's not comfortable, but he's always giving it 110% when he goes out there.
Although I will say this much, after seeing that, if I'm one of the New Blood guys and I'm seeing this, I'm going to start thinking, can I really trust this dude? I mean, he struck a deal with these guys and then literally hit him in the back of the bat.
Good point.
But then again, that's just me, and I think they actually. I'm not 100% sure. I have to go back and watch, but I think that it kind of does get covered later on.
What does?
Like the not being able to trust Vince.
Probably. Vinny Roo. Nothing's for sure. Oh wait, that's my gimmick.
All right, so we come back from commercial. Tank Abbott's out in the ring, calls out Goldberg again. This week his victim is Bob Ryder. Jeremy Borash jumps in to try to make the save. And then we go to commercial again. Thoughts on that little quick segment?
Oh, I had a brain fart. Run that by me one more time.
Tank Abbott is in the ring, calls out Goldberg once again. This week his victim is Bob Ryder. Jeremy Borash tries to make the save. Both end up getting beaten up, and then we go to commercial.
Well, once again, this is all Mark Madden, even before he comes out like, oh my God, he's freaking out. He's coming out here.
Trying to hide behind Giovanni and Hudson.
Approaches the announce table. Like, Madden by far does the best job of selling it. His fat ass is trying to go over that guardrail. And Giovanni and Hudson, they're out of their chairs and they're kind of turning around. But Tank gets so close. It looks so goofy, but I think Madden does the best job of selling it. We don't have to see that girth 2 weeks in a row, or I think it might have been the previous episode before last week. Yeah. But great stuff. And Jeremy Borash, before TNA, he was with WCW. I did not know that.
I think he worked for their website, I believe.
WCW.com. Type it in today, people.
All right, so we're back from commercial. We got Paige and Jarrett for the title in the cage. Paige jumps Jarrett to start the match. Direction of company is mentioned by the announcers. Paige hits the cutter, goes for the cover. Awesome stops the count, but Canyon ends up cutting him off. Ref counts to 3. New champ Diamond Dallas Page, now a 3-time world champion. We go to commercial.
And I'm always a sucker. Paige did that a lot, where he would celebrate with the title in the crowd. Can you imagine being one of those people? Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Can you hear me now? Okay. Was this a triple cage match, or was it just like a plain Hell in a Cell?
No, it was a roof cage. It was just a single tier.
Okay. Hell in a Cell, Rage in a Cage, Penis and Uranus. The Rock made that quote. Yeah, decent match. Was Vince out here for this segment?
You know what? That is a good question. I don't think he was. It was either him or Bischoff. I don't remember.
I think he was out for this segment. He had to watch helplessly as Page won. And again, Vince, most of his segments for this episode were in the back. But, when he went out there, he said he'd give it 110%. So what's after this? We go to the Sting Vampiro.
Yep, after a quick recap of the title flip, we got Sting and Vampiro first blood. Vampiro jumped Sting while he's still in the harness. It seemed like there was like, this is just me, I don't know if you caught this or not. It seemed like there's a quick second where Vampiro hesitated of like, should I jump him or not? Screw it, I'm going anyway.
Well, yeah, because the previous episode, he looked at him for about 2 seconds, and it was in plain camera sight, and they were in the ring.
Right, and Vampiro couldn't stand there. It's like, dude, if he would have stood and let Sting get out, it would have made him look like an idiot.
Exactly. He could have gotten away with it more this week, though, you would think, because Sting was way on the outside. It's not like he dropped in the ring. And that's 2 weeks in a row now he's doing this rappel. And I don't know if that was a shoot or not, whether he couldn't get out of the harness before getting pummeled by Vampiro. But I don't know.
He couldn't stand there. He basically couldn't stand there with his dick in his hand, as they like to say in the business.
Really? Dick in his hand?
That's actually a phrase. That is used. That I've heard used at training of. You can't stand there waiting for someone to come with. You can't stand there with your dick in your hand waiting for the guy to come to you.
Dick in hand. I'm writing this down. Learn something new every day. The important stuff. I just hope my mother doesn't read my notes later. That'll be fun to explain. Oh my God.
So anyway, the match is a no contest after the blood falls from the ceiling, drenching Sting, and then eventually Vampiro gets in it as well. And then they hook up Sting to his harness and have him swinging, and we end the show with basically Sting swinging around in the air, drenched in blood.
Well, of course, I remember this part vividly. Of course, it was painful for me to watch for so many reasons. Stinger getting beat up like that, I can't imagine. I wonder if he could see with all that pain on top of all that blood on top of his pain. But
I'm willing to bet he probably had his eyes closed the entire time.
I would. But Vampiro, I think, does an amazing job going on the announce table and selling the blood coming down. And Sting is just standing square in the middle of the ring. So if you got like an intelligence way up, you know something's up. And something's about to be up. It's going to be the Stinger, drenched in blood. Painful for me to watch.
And here's another booking thing that a lot of the marks like to complain about. They're like, how do you have a DQ or how do you no contest in a first blood match? Did you not see what just happened? Plus, they've been selling that the referees have been given a lot more leeway in their judgment, and thus it's not beyond the realm of reasoning that a referee can see that and go, there's no way I can call a legitimate winner. I have to throw this thing out.
Right. Well, marks will be marks.
I mean,
go with that.
He does stuff that doesn't make any sense, and you look at this, and it's like that's the only decision you can make in a situation like that.
Absolutely. What are we gonna? They stopped baseball games for rain, so we could stop wrestling matches for blood. Lots of it.
Because it was a first blood and it was a no contest. It's like you have both guys drenched in fake blood that didn't originate from either guy. What other decision are you supposed to make?
Exactly. Well, I don't know. Wade Keller's reasoning or Dave Meltzer's reasoning, I would love to hear it. Not really.
That is one thing I have noticed, because I've read the books, I've read The Death of WCW. All they focus on is the match result. They completely ignore what leads up to it and what explains and what makes that make sense.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You didn't hurt my feelings. Just saying.
Oh, no. But yeah, it's just like they completely ignore how the logic gaps are covered. They just look at, well, this happened in the match. This was wrestling logic dictates it's not supposed to happen like this, but they completely ignore the writing and the explanation and what's been filled in to explain why it went down that way.
Exactly. Well, as Vince would say, it's a television show, you idiots. I think he would say that. Lazy Lover Lane would just laugh, and I can't think of anybody else to compare to. But yep.
Here's kind of an observation I think I've noticed with, like, when it comes to Vince's writing, at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he goes so far out of the way to not insult people's intelligence that it seems like it's insulting to those with low intelligence.
That's insulting. I don't know if I'm intelligent enough to get that. But I'll agree with that. But you can tell this had Russo writing all over. We had a brawl to start the show. We had the announcers, reiterating that, like, we have a 60 or 90-something-year-old man and a guy in red shoes dancing in the ring that wasn't even in the match. We got plenty of backstage segments. We got it's unpredictable, great flow. It's not mono. It's great stuff, man. I love it. Didn't think we could top last week's episode, but, big fan every time I watch these Spring 2000 episodes of Nitro.
I thought it was a good show. I thought it was a pretty good show. But I think the one thing that and this is just, my opinion, that I've noticed, like I've said, because I'm looking at both shows side by side.
Mm-hmm.
I think where WWE really had an advantage over WCW that they really couldn't counter, that you can have all the great writing in the world, it was star power. To me, it felt like WWE had the stronger stars, at least in that particular point in time.
Stronger stars. Yes and no. Well, I think a lot of their stars were kind of newer. Sting was a early 90s star. I'm a Sting mark, but I'll admit that he was well up there. You had Hogan. Obviously, Hogan and Flair, 80s wrestling stars, and now they're at the centerpiece of your show. You had...
but hats off to Hogan, though. He managed to completely reinvent himself with turning heel with the NWO, and then managed to refresh himself.
Yep, him and Sting. They both turned in their colors and went black and white. So, yeah, that's a good point. Better stars? I think, yeah, but I think it's like... I think Kevin Nash said in an interview on the WWE Network, they had Hogan, Flair, Savage, Luger, iconic, older veterans. They didn't know how to combat The Rock and Steve Austin and the newer stuff that was coming out. Jericho wasn't an 80s star.
Jericho could have been a huge star for WCW.
He could have, but Bischoff let him go. He tried to keep Chris, but I think Bischoff was so focused on, again, the aging veterans instead of, in Bret Hart's words, he was the biggest idiot he ever met in his life. So read into that what you want. The sign of the week.
All you got to do is look at how they handled Bret Hart before Vince showed up.
That's a good point. The sign of the week, if you noticed in the background, I'd rather be at Raw for this show. While we're on the subject of Raw.
And those signs are always so freaking dumb. Like, so you'd rather be at Raw, but you're gonna pay money, buy a ticket to show up to tell the world that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's their logic. It's their logic. But nowadays, there's no signs anymore. It's all like the lights are dimmed and the focus has to be in the ring.
Have you noticed that, like, the crowd sizes of today's, like, WWE shows, like of Raw and SmackDown, are very similar to that of Nitro around this time?
Really? You think they've gotten smaller?
Oh, definitely, dude. Like look at the way they position the camera, of how they shoot the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Look at it on an episode of Raw, and then go back and watch like a Spring 2000 Nitro, and it's like look at the size of the crowd in the camera and just how they shoot it. You'll notice it right away.
Well, the crowds are going to continue to dwindle until they start giving a crap. Apparently, Vince is interested in bringing back the XFL, so he's completely lost his mind again, as usual.
I'm willing. I I have a theory that this whole thing with Vince getting back into football has something to do with his good buddy in the White House having a feud with the NFL.
I don't know anything about that. I just know you look at WWF New York, you look at the XFL, you look at the Brawl for All. Whenever they try to do anything besides wrestling, you notice it fails.
Oh, man. I hope Vince doesn't hear that one.
Well, no, he doesn't know who I am. Hey, pal.
No, I'm talking about the Brawl for All. The other Vince.
Oh, Vince knows it was a failure. Guys got hurt. Oh, you weren't talking about, hey, pal. You were talking about, hey, bro, gotcha. Well, good stuff. Thanks for doing this review, Brandon. Hopefully,
thank you, man.
Airtime this week. Again, with the girl situation, it should be the least of my problems, but we'll see. We'll see. I've got examples. Another thing, I cannot stand clothes shopping, and I go clothes shopping with her. What do you think of this? Terrific. What do you think of this? Great. What do you think of this? Can we go home now? Can't do it. We'll see, but she's a handful. So I might have to tell her I'm going to need a break for a while, and if she can't oblige, there is a restraining order possibility. We'll see. I also have the bat. Nothing's for sure, though. Nothing's for sure. I'm not going to hit anybody with the bat. But again, thank you for this week's review. We'll try to continue on doing this if I'm not in an insane asylum by next week or something.
I believe the next Nitro would be the May 1st, 2000 Nitro.
And I'm willing to bet. Actually, I took a little sneak peek, and the beginning of that episode again. These episodes, it just keeps staying good. So if we can get to that, I promise you it'll be another good show. But thanks again for joining me. And everybody out there, check us out on Twitter at BStransky67.
BS Rider 67 on Twitter.
I'm not as active on Twitter, but you can find me at Kolakowski316. I'm trying to, I don't know how to change it to Broken Stinger, but it's hashtag Broken Stinger, but at Kolakowski316. I'm maybe going to try to start doing more YouTube shows again. Nothing's for sure. Thanks again, everybody. This is Brandon and Nick, Broken Stinger, signing off.
Have a good one.
Only thing that's for sure about us and this show, well, my show, is nothing's for sure. Woo!
Peace out, everybody.
Very nice. Good night.
This is Vince Russo's The Brand.